Greetings, everyone. Tommy Hawksblood here, calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. We have a lot to talk about today. Uh, I have been so busy going through a lot of things over the past month and a half. Sorry I haven't been doing shows, but there's so much going on, so much ready to happen, and people are just starting to wake up to what's really going to go down. But everything I say is the truth that I know it and experience and have proven over my lifetime. All right, I'm not going to give you stories and lies about other people and other things. This is the highest truth you can get, probably from, I would say, almost anyone on this planet about certain things. Not everything, but a lot more truth about what you get from so called religions and teachers and paths and colleges and any kind of master teachers, shamans, medicine people. They all have programs they feed you. All right, now let's start with one at a time. I'm going to go through 4 basic teachings and programs and what we've been going through. I'm going to try to rush through a lot because I don't know how much time I'm going to get into this today. But I want to start with religion. Everybody has a religion, or maybe not. I mean, atheists do not follow a religion. They believe whatever they believe in, which is probably nothing. But I'm going to give you the facts. There is a God, a real God, and it's not in the Bible. What it is, what it looks like, what it does. Jesus was a real person. A real person. He never said he was God anywhere, anytime in his lifetime that he was here for a short time. Man created his ideas of what he taught, what he did, and what he was doing. Realize these were farmers and shoemakers and everything else, but they weren't super intelligent with technology, in other words. Never mind death and beyond death. Aliens, very little clue about that as well in those days. All right, so what did they follow? Multiple gods, churches, and temples and all that was set up to follow multiple gods. And if you don't know, the first religion on this planet was Hinduism, and they followed deities. There's over 125 deities known. I mean, there's multiple deities that are unknown. 5 of them are super important compared to all the rest of them. But even that, the deities only stayed here for a period of time and they left. But when they aliens came down and took over their place, and that meant they were teaching the Egyptians, the Mayans, the Aztecs, all lies. If you look at hieroglyphics and all the teachings in the pyramids, there's nothing about a real God. And they did not know anything about death either. And we got every program out there now, Ancient Aliens, has been on for 15 years. Still can't even explain why pyramids were built or even how they were built. Theory after theory after theory, and a lot of the famous people in the UFO world, I think. Thinking is not important to other people. I was in the UFO world lecturing with Sergeant 18 from 1996 to 2002. We actually did a TV show, internet show on Carrie Cassidy's show for 9 months. We had an incredible following. We showed pictures of UFOs at that time, which was about a couple of years ago. And we showed about 5 new UFO pictures every week. Real pictures we shot, not synthetic, comedy, clone pictures, or make-believe pictures of any kind. They were all real. All right. We dealt with creatures, entities. And we were in a place where Tesla worked with DuPont. And I'm not going to go into that story because it's the most important UFO story that nobody can talk about. Why is that? Well, 16 of my best friends were taken out. My good friend who I did all my UFO stuff with, well, guess what? I'm not going to talk about him. But here's the thing, people. I'm the only person, and I don't care if the government takes me out or not. I went through everything a person could do in this lifetime. I studied 14 religions. And at that point, when I was young, I realized no religion could explain anything about a real God. All right. I was baptized 14, and I asked my minister, what's God look like? What's heaven look like? What do you do in heaven? Well, nobody knows. Nobody knows, so why talk and teach a religion that you don't know nothing about? Okay, now when Jesus came He was a real man. He was born, all right, the same way every other child's born. But the thing is, he went through something that everybody claims they're going through now, and it's called ascension, not ascending. Ascending means moving from this world to the astral plane. Ascension means you go through a certain period of time frame where you go to a dimension and you learn 32 psychic abilities under God. All right. Jesus was the only man that could do that I know in all of history. And Mary Magdalene was the only woman that could do it as well. I'll debate anybody, anywhere, anytime, with my life staked on the truth in the name of God, not anybody else. I'm aware of all my lifetimes back to Atlantis. And I debated many people. Some people agree with me. Some people were there. But realize you could reincarnate. Reincarnation is a really important word. And maybe Christianity and most religions do not accept it because they're afraid of the truth. Always was. When they created Christianity, it came from men, not God. Jesus didn't create Christianity. He didn't come here to teach a religion. He came here to show the way to God. Nothing else. Protection. Who's he protecting? Who did he protect? All right, when he went to heal people and did things, he had 32 psychic abilities, and he didn't use all of them. He could have. He could have did a lot of things. When he was dealing with Satan, he was with him a long time, but Satan couldn't do a thing to him and make him do anything. But as far as that goes, was he God? He never said it, ever. If you knew Jesus, you could talk about him. Since you don't, I don't see how people could talk about a man they don't know, say things about him that they don't know, and believe what people write. I mean, people believe the Emerald Tablet. People believe in the Inaki and the word, what they did, how they created man. All these lies you're programmed with. Seriously, people. Is there anything you could prove to yourself that you believe in that's true? Experiences happen very seldom. Mostly drugs and other things create what people experience. And then the mind doesn't know things, and it has to fill it in with what you think you know. Near-death experiences. I'll go into that maybe later if I have time. But you're going to a different reality. So it's not going to be the same thing. Oh, well, I met my father, met my grandfather, met Jesus, met God, blah, 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 and they told me to come back. That's not how it goes down. But we'll get into that in detail. I listened to everybody that talks about near-death experiences. I had 5. Every one of them was a giant step in my life. But here's the thing, people. You want to believe a religion. You believe a book, a Bible. Who wrote the Bible? Moses wrote the whole third of the beginning of the Old Testament. He didn't even know what he was doing. He actually created 63 laws on top of the 10 Commandments. He wrote the 10 Commandments, and then he wrote 63 more. If you go in the Bible and read them, you'll realize no person on this planet could live by them. The Hasidic Jewish people said they live by them. I'm not going to go into that in detail. Most religions are horrible what they do to women, and I'll leave it at that. They abuse and misuse women, have always, even back as far as you want to go in history. Aliens, the Egyptians, the Mayans, sacrificing women and children. Mankind was sick and still is. That's why I put the book out for women. But here's the thing, people. I'm aware of my lifetimes from Atlantis. In Atlantis, there was 9 races here. 9 different colored beings that lived here. 5 of them raised their awareness and left this reality. 4 stayed, black, red, white, and yellow. And they have become slaves, not to God, not to Jesus, not to Moses, not to any of them, to aliens. Look at what we have done since mankind has been, quote, figured out that we have come here and became reality, real. All right. Zachariah Sitchin put out a book and explained that we all came from the Anunnaki, which is another storytelling lie. Anunnaki was a race of people, not gods. So when you read and listen to it, the UFO world's crashing down. I was in it, and I'm glad I'm not in it now, because all you hear is lies. And you're going to see things change if you don't see what's going on in the East Coast right now. It's going on in Hawaii. It's going on in California. It's going on everywhere, people. Something's going to break and explode wide open. It already is. The government won't stop, won't confess. They cannot confess what they did. All right. I'll get into that. Let's stick with religion for a little while. There's 2,000 religions and over right now. Only two of them even talk about a way to understand God and get closer to God. Only two. Praying and saying, I'm God, I want to come with you, I want to be with you. That's not how you get to God. Believing that you're with God is another delusional lie. God doesn't come into hell, and this is hell. You don't go to hell when you die. You reincarnate back to here. Dante's Inferno, well, the different levels of hell. This is hell. Everything he said you can experience in hell, you experience it here. Freeze and fire and things like that. You can experience all that here. You don't experience that in the astral plane where all soul goes for a short period of time. Very few souls get to stay there. When they get there, they're shown around and show where they can go, what they can be. For people that ever get to stay there, it's incredible compared to Earth because you pick an age, whatever age, usually 24 to 36, somewhere in between there. Some people want to be a child, but you're on a place where you learn something already and you should be moving forward, not starting all over as a child. But again, you can't be killed there either. All right. You don't kill other people. You don't do a lot of things that we can do here. You don't have the power to, and you don't need to. But there's many planes beyond that. Very few souls go past the astral plane. It's like going from here into Disneyland. Wow, this is great. It's so great, you don't want to go from there. But it's only one step closer to God. One step. There's 5 major steps that you take. Each one of them will bring you closer to God. Great understanding of what and who you are. Very few people know what they are, meaning you right now, who you are, what you are, why you're in this body. You are not your body. Buddhism has it wrong. Most religions have it wrong. You are not mind. Mind dies when the body dies. Soul reincarnates over and over because it didn't learn why it came here in the first place. And when it does, there's no need to come back. I can tell you how many times I reincarnated. Many, many times, like most people do. But you're supposed to remember things, learn things, and bring them into your next life. And then when you learn the ultimate, you don't have to come back. What's the ultimate? Maybe I'll tell you at the end. But here's the thing. We go through life. What is important in your life right now, people? What do you care about? Children, cars, boats, planes, houses, rent, money, food? That's the most important thing. But look at the world. 8 billion people, 90% are either super low income, poor, starving, abused, homeless, all right? 5 or 6% are middle class, barely surviving. And then you got the rich assholes, the multi-billionaires and trillionaires, one super what they're going to be doing to us and the planet. All right. Space is not where we need to be. We're here on Earth. We can't do anything right here. Why do we think we have to go somewhere else? We can't be compassionate. We have wars going on right now. We have horrible things happening. Why? Ego. Man's ego, not women. Women are being forced and shoved and pushed, and they have been all through history. Even when the white men came into the United States, they raped all the native women and killed most of them. It's horrible. Man, white race is basically all the countries that are white race considered Caucasian or whatever different words they use, but the ones that cause war and fight. And it basically what it was. The Irish fighting, all right? The religions that were formed then were always fighting. And the wars came at it. Even when Jesus was killed, the wars fought over the spear that slanted Jesus, fought over this, that, and the other thing. Germany, Russia, everybody wanted this and that of Jesus. Why? The Noah's Ark was real, but that's something else. But okay, Jesus was real. The Ark of the Covenant was real. And there's billions of stories. Ancient Aliens tell us 10 different stories about it. Everybody says different stories about it. But what good is it? They're stories. They didn't expose Noah's Ark in great detail, which they should have. And the Vatican has miles longs of ancient artifacts and truth, which they would not release because the same reason why they had to kill Jesus. They're a programmed group of people that control basically parts of the world. All right, rich people are in their own ego trip, like Musk. I write him 10 letters, 20 letters a day. Same with Trump. They're our power. They're going to be controlling us. People, women, what was wrong? Every woman, oh, I'm not going to vote for Trump. I'm not going to do this. And, oh, we need a woman in there. It didn't happen. Why? Everybody, all the tests going up and people saying, who voted for Trump? Who voted for Trump? Sure, you could say some of the drug addicts. Don't ask me why. They wanted to carry guns and things like that. Why was Trump brought into power? What did he say before he came in? And people heard it. He said, I'm going to be a dictator on day one. What does that mean to you? He's going to be a loving, compassionate person? He has pictures of him with angels in back of him. He's on his knees praying. You know, people that follow God can't kill people. Cannot kill people. When people join the army because somebody told them they have to go over there and kill people, you gave in to darkness. The people that left during the Vietnam War went up to Canada. They had a brain. They used it. Because if you kill a person, your karma means you're going to reincarnate many more times. Oh, 1,000 Hail Marys and I'm forgiven. No, you're not. Jesus never said that, people. Never. And when he healed people, what he said to them, go out and sin no more. Sin was a word that they only accepted. They didn't know the truth about karma. But he said, go out and sin no more. If people did that, we wouldn't be where we are today. Everybody thinks they can get away with things. When you think you can get away with something, you don't. Karma will always be building every time you say a lie to yourself. If you live under God, you have to live under its laws, period. When he said go out and sin no more, that means you know God, you know what's right, you know what's wrong. There is a right and wrong. Well, there's only right and better. No, there's wrong. Anything you do outside yourself is wrong if it hurts people, children, animals. Mankind doesn't accept that. Man could slaughter animals, like even calves. They keep in a little bubble and then eat them. They never get to do anything. They're prisoners of a little tiny bubble. And it's called veal, and it's expensive meat. But the way people kill in other countries, there's no belief in a God. No respect for animals, life, and people. And I'm going to get into Trump and that a little bit later. I'm going to just get through this for a while. Because, you know, we're dealing with so much stuff. And I'm lucky and very unlucky to experience about 90% of everything you need to experience in any lifetime. Death, five death experiences, astral projection, soul travel. They're part of the 32 things you learn through ascension. But what you learn in that can't be taken away. I was a high priest at 16 years old. I was learning about all the psychic abilities. There was two I really wanted that I never got to retain. I could say I know or went through 90% of them because I worked on it for a couple years. Then I realized how much karma you get by playing with those words. Psychic abilities cannot be used in its reality today. Religions, like when you go to see a born-again preacher and they bop you on the head and you're healed in the name of God, nobody can use God's name. Nobody is God. You can't tell God that he's going to do what you tell it to do. People are perverted, twisted, and believe too much in themselves as being important. Now we got all these super new age groups charging thousands of dollars to go for classes to learn you're better than who you are. Oh, really? What's better than who you are? Well, we're going to make money. You can get a house and you can do all these things. It's called Cal, and it's called negativity. It's living in the darkness. Everything we create keeps us here. Drinking, drugs is the number one passion for most men, and hardcore sex. All right, those things are what would make the man reincarnate because they don't exist on the astral plane and the higher realms. There's no reason for it. You're not a solid body. And then here's something I'll tell you as we move forward. Once you go past the astral plane, meaning you develop beyond that, you could stay there for thousands of years. But when you go past there, soul, what you are, that what's in this body, which is what you really are, doesn't have a male or female body. It loses genitalia. There's no reason for it. As you progress in these different realms, your body becomes light. All right. And the higher you go, the more light you radiate. In this lifetime, I only saw 2 people radiate light, maybe the whole stadium, the whole room that they were in. And one of them was walking down the road. The second they got next to me, they turned around and they looked at me and they said, "I love you." And when they went on stage, soul can see souls that attain an awareness. It's starting, the first level is self-awareness. All right. Then there's God realization. Self-realization means you understand your soul and start learning what that means. God realization means you understand God and understand your role with God. Not, well, he says I got to be good to people. We don't take care of anybody. 90% of all families abuse their children many different ways, no matter what religion they're following. And I could say the Hasidic Jewish religion, Muslims are very bad to boys and girls and women. And that's horrible. Because if you know the facts, which I do, I mean, I'm not going to go into all the details about it. When I learned certain things and I experienced it, being in their houses and hearing the truth about it, it's disgusting for a word. Women deserve much better than where they're at and what they have. And Trump is going to do horrible things again. He's against women doing other things than other having sex with him or whatever. He was friends with Epstein. No matter what he says, all those fake pictures are superimposed. No, they're not. I have hundreds of pictures of them together. I mean, then guess who his other friend was? Yul Hefner. They went to the Playboy Club. What do you think you do when you go to the Playboy Club? He was thrown out of the Playboy Club by Yul Hefner. And he ended his friendship with Trump. And he said, "I'm sorry I ever put Trump on Playboy magazine." All right, people. Do you know where this guy's coming from? Do you have a clue? I lived in Jersey most of my life. Trump was always doing things, always on the news, always doing this and blah, blah. Even at the end when he closed his school and foreclosed on all the kids, students that were in the school and everything. Do people care about what he did? No, he's a good man now. Why? He was in power when the fake... Oh, I'm not going to say anything. I can't say certain things because the show gets taken off the air, taken down. But what he did and what happened during his time frame that he left Biden with, what was it, people? A nightmare, a fake nightmare. Kennedy came to Hawaii talking about it. And then what happened? Well, my partner got the second shot. She died 3 times the following week. They saved her, flew her to the other island and had to put a pacemaker in. All right. That was the week later. Kennedy came to Hawaii. He wrote a book about it and said, don't get it because of 30% chance of a heart attack. That's not me, not what I said, but it's what he did, and he wrote a book about it. And now where is he? With Mr. Trump. Why is he with Mr. Trump? Because Kamala said, no, I don't need you on my team. He's going for money, all right? He's not like his Kennedy, President Kennedy, because I think he was one of the most important people in presidency. And why did they take him out? Good people don't last long on this planet. I'm still here for a lot of different reasons. Not because I want to. I really don't want to be here anymore. All right. I was given a chance to leave my 5th death experience. And I said, no, I got to finish 2 more books. I finished one just now. that one. The one before it was the True Teachings of Jesus, which I'm aware of all my past lives. And during that time frame, you'll understand what was going on the planet, in the world, what was coming here, what was going, why all these ancient civilizations are gone. No real evidence. Sure, they found 100 skeletons here and 100 there and blah, blah, blah. What the Egyptians did to the skeletons, that they showed what they did to them, is horrible. All the tablets and the scrolls and the things they left are false teachings. Nothing but painting to a god. And the deities that they worshipped are not gods. I call them little gods for the word deity, but they're not God. God is only one, singular. And that's what Jesus was teaching. All right? Mankind didn't understand that. They didn't understand death. They sure didn't understand reincarnation. So how do you teach a group of people anything? You come here to teach them about God, and then you want to teach them about soul being eternal. Well, I'm eternal. I could do anything I want. No, all that means is you can reincarnate over and over in hell. Doesn't mean you're going to get closer to God. All right? But Jesus was teaching techniques which it's not in the Bible. Why is that? Because the people that were writing didn't understand what he was teaching. Why did most of his disciples turn against Jesus when they killed him? You know, only 2 of Jesus' disciples were ever able to even write. All right? Now, I can go into Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Now, 2 of them were disciples of Jesus. 2 of them were evangelists. Look up the definition of evangelist. All right, one followed Peter and one followed Paul. If you know anything about Paul, Paul never met Jesus in the physical body. He had an experience. Why is his experience accepted? All right? I could tell you mine. You wouldn't accept it. Period. No way. No how. But again, people create and follow what they want, not what's true. If it sounds good, they'll accept it. You ever hear the saying, if it's too good to be true, it's probably not? And that's the truth. But the Bible that has written how many times over and over, the words have changed a little. So the actual definitions have changed, including the name of Jesus, the name of God, and all that. But the truth is, Jesus was here as a man with 32 psychic abilities. Mary Magdalene had 32 psychic abilities. He taught her how to go through ascension because she had to finish what he left. He was killed before he finished teaching the disciples. None of them knew anything because when Jesus was killed, they were all walking away from their own religion. If it wasn't for Mary Magdalene saying, look, it's not like that. I'm going to teach you. And she started teaching him. And who was the hardest to teach? Peter. He didn't want to listen to a woman at all. It took him time, but when he finally realized and learned what she was teaching, he was able to see Jesus. There's a lot to it that people in those days had no clue what was going on. The same as most people today don't understand reincarnation or soul travel, those kind of words. They have no clue what it means. Well, leaving your body. I do drugs and I can leave my body. You can. And go into a void of this dimensional realm. There's 5 dimensions here. All right. Basically, it is 3, and each one has 3 dimensions in each one of them. So when they say, oh, 6-dimensional, that's still here. It's not in heaven or what you perceive called the astral plane called heaven. No, it's not that. And when people die and have a death experience, they go to the astral plane. It's nothing there that's solid like there is here. So people don't come back and say, wow, it was this and that. They just say, oh, no, I met my father, I met my grandfather. It's like everybody's hanging out there. And then when people die, what do they want to do? Hang out with their family. They don't understand reincarnation. You lived so many times and you had so many families. Do you understand that? Family after reincarnation, more families. I could go that proved to me about reincarnation and things like that. Not maybe or could be, actually proved it in detail. I talk about it, but I don't have time to talk about it here. We're going through a lot of topics. I want to get through a couple of these because we're in serious trouble. Aliens will be doing horrible things soon. The government will be doing horrible things soon. Now, all right, religions are not beneficial, not one of them. And they each have a slightly twisted idea of the truth. Never mind the idea of what God really is. Like I said, two of them do. They teach about doing a technique to get out of your body, which is important, very important. All right, that's the first step, understanding what you are as a soul, not a body. Your body doesn't leave itself. Soul does. Soul's in this body. Picture your body as a car. You step in the car, turn the key, and drive it. And that's what we do with this body. But see, the mind has five senses. I mean, you know what the five senses are, right? They all tune into smell, taste, feeling, and emotion. All right? Soul doesn't have that. It doesn't have a mind. All right? Soul is an awareness of itself, not one awareness. We're not one awareness, people. If we were, we all would know the same thing. And 99.9% know nothing. And that's scary. Living in a world where they know nothing about why they're here, where they're going to go, what they're really supposed to be doing. You know, jobs are karma. There's good jobs and bad jobs. Serving liquor is a bad job, people. Do you understand that? Doing things that are bad for the body to other people is a bad thing. Helping people, you can help as much as you can. But people like Musk, who said he's going to help everybody, help the world, I write him nasty letters and I write him the truth. He wants to go to Mars. He wants to do a space city in Texas. Is that going to help the human race in any way? I'm not going to get into that in detail either. But he's going to give up on Tesla. He's going to go into water cars that run on water. He wants to put a super subway in the United States, and he wants to build Space City and all that. Plus, he wants to go to Mars. And guess whose money he's spending, people? Yours. Mine. Nobody else's. All right? That means, okay, all the money he's making, he makes it off of the money that we pay to do what he wants to do. He's going to be the first trillionaire on the planet. You know what that does to ego? $1 million does a lot to ego. $1 billion does a super lot to an ego. But the trillionaire, you ever see him? When he's with Trump, he's acting like a little kid. And what he's going to do is going to be horrible. He's going to try to take money from everywhere. People, you elected Trump. Now Musk gave all this money and Trump's going, I never took money. I don't take money. How did he campaign? And then when Biden dropped out, he goes, I want all my money back. And that's what he said. Are you following what's going on? Do you listen? Well, Hawaii, most people don't even have a TV. They don't listen to the news. They don't care what's happening. Oh, I see palm trees and I could eat coconuts and I could go to the beach and take out welfare and disability and not do anything. But most people here do not work. Sad. We have the poorest amount of people in the United States based on the number of people in Hawaii. We have the highest drugs in the United States based on the number of people in Hawaii. So is it the most beautiful place on the planet? If you take all the people off of it. Where do we go from here in Hawaii? Well, the UFO world's exploding wide open here as well. The same as it is in Jersey, but there's a lot more UFOs, not just orbs. Orbs are small ships that come down. I can go into the Sargell and I, we filmed more ships than anybody else in the United States from 1996 to 2002. Real ships, not Tic Tacs, and we put pictures out every week. You know, we did that for years, and nobody really cared, and and we weren't superimposing images on things and all those kind of things like everybody else is doing. Sure, there's a lot of things happening. Everybody has a camera now. Everybody go out at 4 o'clock in the morning till 5:30 every day for a week, and you'll see UFOs. Promise. All right? I have a light ship that's been blinking at me every time I go out, every other night, not every night, usually every other night. Super bright light, blink, blink, blink. It blinked at me 120 times one time, and I did Morse code back to it. and it did Morse code back to me. Is that a drone? Out there. I mean, but the light was so bright. Uh, there's a difference between satellites, which you usually cannot see. They're small. They're usually no bigger than a car. Most of them are the size of a milk box. And to be 3 or 4 miles out there, are you going to see it? Really? All right. Drones don't go that high. They can't go that high. All right. But spaceships, UFOs travel much higher, and most of them travel fast. They slow down for some reasons to see and work and take people and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into that in detail. But they're here for a reason. They were always here for a reason why different races left. Not because they were good, not because they were spiritual, because alien races destroyed their country reality. The Egyptians were working with giants in the beginning. The book of Enoch was taken out of the Bible. All these things that show you things that were real, people don't want to believe it. Giants were real, always real. There's some giants on the planet right now, people. But we're not killing them, and they're not having sex with us and doing anything like that either. So we're in a bad space, and we got people that are going to take us deeper into hell. I mean, we're in hell, but deeper into what's going to happen in here. All right, you thought it was bad. All right, taking away rights of women is probably the most evil thing we did through history. And it started after Atlantis was destroyed. And mankind was reprogrammed to kill, eat animals, and all those kind of things. It wasn't natural. All right, I'll give you a short synopsis of Atlantis. We weren't really into deep clothes. I mean, material made from plants and things like that. All right, we ate fruit and vegetables, but you had psychic abilities. You didn't have to talk if you didn't want to. Nobody could lie to another person. Nobody would kill or hurt another person either. It was the Garden of Eden. That's when the only time planet Earth was ever in that frame. Aliens couldn't use us. They couldn't use us or make us do anything. So they destroyed Atlantis. But like I said, 5 races already left. The 4 races were here. They killed most of them. They left a few because they pollinated with each other, and we're here. All right? We reincarnated over and over. It took me many lifetimes to understand why I reincarnated in this lifetime. I didn't have to. I was told by a Tibetan master and different people that I had certain things to do, and I am, and all this. Not that I cared. But the thing I did care is, why did I come back? I walked with Jesus. Mary Magdalene was my closest friend. Why would I come back to hell? There's one thing, and most people hear for the one word. It's called LOVE. What does it really mean, people? What is it? Why? Why do we say we love somebody and leave them 6 months later? Why do we say we love somebody and kill them? Why do we say we love somebody, have children, and get rid of our children? What's the word love really mean, people? Nobody knows. Very few souls have a clue what it really means. Well, I say I love you. Why? Because you're good looking, you're good in sex, and blah, blah, blah. That's love to most people. Sex and money is love. 90% of the people on this planet. All right, men especially, deeply. Women are a lot more compassionate in every way. But mankind is just trying to destroy that. They abuse them and put them down to the lowest level, but they have to live in the lowest level. Why do you think the Mayans and the Aztecs felt good about sacrificing children and women? They did men occasionally, but it was more so the children because they had the highest light and they didn't want light on this reality. Children, let's go to children. It's really an important topic. Children, when they're born, let me explain this. A child is being created in the womb, right? Soul, what you are, is in your body. 2 souls can't stay in the same body for more than a short period of time. So it's not like a soul's in the baby while it's growing. It's not. Soul steps into the baby right before it's born. And if it doesn't step into it, that baby will die. And that's when you heard all these words about crib death and they didn't know what it was and things like that. And they still don't even talk about it. But basically, the idea of killing a baby and all that, it's you pull a plant, you eat a plant. Plant's alive. You kill an animal, it's alive. We're used to killing things. And then they even made hair stuff from the embryo and uses and abuses everything they can. But women always suffered. But when the baby's born, it's a ball of light. If you touch a baby, you can feel it. They're not programmed, not controlled, they're not pulled into this reality yet. Now, as they grow in a short period of time, when they learn to see and speak, they start seeing things, which their parents have no clue what they can be or what they are. When they tell a child about the boogeyman, it's an entity, and it is real. All right? There's things that were real, but they mix it with fake things. So a poor child is being fed a religion, whatever the parents' religion is, if they have one. Then they're being fed about Superman, Batman, Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, all these things. Then when they reach a certain age, well, they're all not real. What? But God is real. You know what that does to a child's brain? You know, you can't teach somebody something that's not real and then tell them tell them it's real when it's not, and then suddenly tell them it's not real. And then tell them something else is real, which they can't prove either. So telling your son God is real, why? You don't even have a way to teach your son how to see God, feel God, understand God. Oh, pray. Pray for what? Pray to something you don't know what it is, what it looks like, or where it is. You don't know how big it is. And it sure doesn't dwell in the lower realms. All right, there's no reason for it. If God came into this reality right now, the world would explode. Period. This whole universe would explode. Its vibration is so high. I mean, flute and violin simulate the higher worlds. There's 5 main ones, right? When you reach soul realization. At that point, you let go of everything. All right? But when you go past soul, which is a reality, if you decide to leave the soul plane, which is the ultimate bliss in every which way, you can. God never restricted soul from advancing forward. Ever. And it doesn't. Only when it goes backwards, it stops it. That's why the S-plane's there. That's why you reincarnate. If all these murderers and killers said, forgive me, go in the S-plane and start trying to kill people there, or even think they can, and all those kind of things, it would be hell there too. And that's why it's like kindergarten here, and you're learning to grow spiritually. And people have no word, understand. I ask everybody today, tomorrow, or who I meet everywhere, what's spiritual mean? Oh, I'm spiritual. And what's that mean? Were you spiritual when you were little? No. I said, well, how did you become spiritual? Well, I found prayer. A prayer makes you spiritual? Praying to something? Some people pray to a tree. Some people pray to deity. Some people pray to this, that, or the other thing. That makes them spiritual? Well, I go to church. And what makes you spiritual because you're in a church? Did Jesus have to build the church for you to go into? I mean, they made his words fit to what they believe. Like, oh, tear a temple down, there'll be 100 more tomorrow. But it's not a temple outside of ourselves, people. You don't need a temple to go into. Everything and anything is inside you as soul. And your mind can't perceive that. And it very seldom understands anything about that. It's locked into the programs of our government, or our teachers, our schooling, our parents, never mind our friends that have no knowledge, try to teach you what they don't know. What do you think you're growing? How do you think you're growing? What about you becoming spiritual? I didn't even open my chat room, sorry. Can anybody answer that? The chat room's open. You could put a thing in there and say what spiritual means to you. I'd love to hear somebody say something important about what it is. Well, I understand God. What do you understand about God? Well, it watches us and protects us. Protects what? Soul is protected because it can't be killed. Not God's watching you, a car's coming and it's going to stop you from getting hit. because your body's going to die. Your body's going to die sooner or later. And most people are making it sooner than later. Not that they care or understand it, even though they say they want to live longer. Rich people are afraid to leave. Because in the Bible, if you want to believe it, Jesus did say this more than 3 times, which is 3 times in the Bible. It's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich person to get into heaven. Do you understand that? Did you hear that? Any rich people? But rich people can't listen to this. They can't hear the truth. They don't want to hear the truth. They know what they do is wrong. You can't have billions of dollars sitting in your bank while the kid down the block starving to death. What kind of person is that? To be a trillionaire and let children be abused, sold, and everything else? How pathetic is that? Let pregnant women live on the street? How sad. Mankind says they're moving forward, we're growing. Growing how? You know what grows in man's world? The only thing that grows is the toys he plays with. Think about it. Man has a little toy, bigger toy, faster toy, better toy. Like Mr. Musk and Tesla. Tesla started it, but Tesla, the car, and then everything else after that. Free energy. We always had free energy. And then in the UFO world, we got one of the most evil people in that world as well, telling people this, that, and the other thing. All lies. Everything he says is a lie. He says he talks to aliens. And a lot of people say they talk to aliens. Aliens don't talk to people in any good way. If they did, you would see something incredible. And guess what? Tesla was working with an alien race. He came out with 200 inventions, 50 of the most deadliest weapons on the planet, the most dangerous thing that mankind could have ever created, which even Einstein had no clue. And it's called time travel. Einstein said we can only go one way. We can't go both ways. But Tesla created time device. I mean, if you watch the movie The Philadelphia Experiment, it was a real story. It's not a make-believe story. All right? I was friends with one of the only people that ever went back in time and forward up until more recently because the government has that device now. They screwed up our history, just so you know. They created a vortex, which is allowing all these entities and everything else coming into our reality. They can't close it. And you think, oh, they went through a vortex. They went through this. There's vortexes, but they only go to the dimensional realms in this reality. There's so much information that people will never hear, understand, or want to hear. All right. I could be for somebody, and then I watch their actions, and you realize everybody's the same. Trump, what he did, what Biden did, what Kamala said she would do. It seems like in government, all the promises come out, and when they're leaving office, they try to fulfill them. All right, which never happens. People, you want to be real, you need to find God. And not going to church, reading the Bible. Just do a simple meditation. Close your eyes and think, where do I go when I die? What's really going to happen to me? Who's going to be there? What am I going to do when I get there? Those answers you can get, and you need to get them for yourself, because if I tell you them all, it doesn't mean 2 cents to you. I was next to a Bigfoot. I was next to an alien. I was next to a UFO. All right? I was doing exorcisms. I was next to all these things for real. I was doing ghost busting at 16 when I was a high priest. I was with one of the top psychics in the United States at that time, and we worked together for 2 years. The Juma Mansion is the oldest house in the United States because it was George Washington's headquarters. Lots of people died there. That you heard about Hamilton and how the duel and all that. But again, the truth's there, but it gets washed away with many lies. All right. Why? Because people are afraid of the truth. They know they're wrong. George Washington was able to leave his body. In the house, he had a mural of him floating above the army on the other side and seeing what they were doing. I mean, how would he draw that if he didn't understand astral projection? All right? But again, we were allowed to go through the Juma mansion privately hours before people came in. It was a tourist thing and everything. It's still this house. And we found secret passages. I found a lot of George Washington's private notes and everything. I know history about George Washington that nobody knows because they were confiscated right away. The second we found the papers and started reading them, and then the people that run the house came in and, oh, well, let's take that. And they took it, and then we never saw it again. But I don't want to go into that story because it's another horrible story. All of Harlem, it's in the middle of Harlem on a coastline of the East and West River. But it's in Harlem. All of Harlem was horse stables before it came Harlem, the bad place to be. People, we take anything and make it worse than whatever it is. We don't make things better. The way we destroy the trees and everything else, and the weapons we're playing with will take us in a deeper hell than we could ever imagine. I could say things, you're not going to want to hear it, and who knows what would happen to me if I tell you the truth about it. Well, people have said, I can't say. I'll tell you this. Putin told Trump, and this is a fact for real. Everybody, if you're listening, send this show to everybody you can. Trump met Putin. He said something to him. But 3 months, and I'm not lying about this, before Trump was elected, Putin went on Russian TV and said this: I want Trump to tell the world what really happened at 9/11. 1. Then he says, I want Trump to tell the world what they're really doing with aliens. 2. 3, he said, we're working with many races. 2 of them want to destroy the planet. This was on Russian TV. When he met Trump, he told him the same thing. All right, Trump didn't do any of that. Trump doesn't believe in aliens. But the day after he met Putin, what did he do? He said he created the Space Force. Well, the Space Force was already there. He just gave it a name. And you don't want to know how much money they spend. They spend incredible amounts of money, more than our deficit, for real, in a year. Now, nobody is talking about the underground cities. Why is that? Why do you think they're there? Why do you think they're building them? Why do you think they were built? China's building super army bases all over the ocean. Why? Why do you think that's happened? Oh, because you want to be friends with everybody? People, the facts are there. But if you believe that, good things are going to happen, Trump's friends with everybody, and all these things, it's not real. He's going to be a puppet for every country. He knows nothing about war. He was never in a war. Musk left his country because he didn't want to go to war. He was smart. He had 12. He created a computer game and everything, but he was afraid to go to war, that's for sure. They don't know nothing about it. And they're going to be in control of everything, really. You know, like I said, if Jesus didn't teach Mary Magdalene what she had to know, she wouldn't be able to teach the disciples anything. You can't teach people about soul if you don't know what it is. You can't teach people about how soul gets out of the body if you don't know how to do it. All the things that she did, she knew and had to, or she couldn't teach it. Now, Mary Magdalene and Thomas were the only 2 people that were ever able to leave the country. She became her daughter did, but she became super powerful because the Knights of Templar followed her. They created temples for Mary Magdalene. They created 4 temples for her. But the Christians had to kill all the Knights of Templar, the Romans, however you want to word it. They were fighting and they killed most of them. Few lived. There's always a few survivors in whatever it is, even in the destruction of the planet. Now, I don't want to get into Noah's Ark. That's a whole other story. But people, if you want the truth, I'm starting to do my show again. Like I said, I'm coming out of a lot of things. A lot of things are going to happen for me that'll be better. Hopefully. But I answer questions. I'll talk about anything people want to know about the truth behind it. Why aliens are here. What they're doing. Why are they doing what they're doing? All right. Billy Myers came out, was one of the first people showing videos of UFOs and all that. But he even got corrupted by his own mind, making fake videos and saying things. He worked with an alien race for a short time. My friend, and I'm going to say this for the closing, the most important person that was alive up until a few days ago in the UFO world was Sean David Morton. Not my ex-partner who thinks he is, and everybody else on the planet. All right, Richard Dalton and all those kind of people. When people at Skinwalker Ranch and all those people that think they know something, they know nothing. They know jack shit. All right. Now, Sean David Martin was the first person to discover Area 51 and take people there to see the mothership come in. When they snagged him there, that's when they had to buy all the mountain and land around it so that nobody could get there. All right? Fact, people. And he never got credit for that. People say, well, I did this. And nobody else did. I was in Jersey. He was in California. He goes, you want to come? We'll get a van. We take 5 people, and we go up to the base and watch the ship come in. It came in every 2 weeks. And he would take a van of 4 people up to it. All right? And that was a long time ago. His book, and the most important book in the UFO world, is Sands of Time. Written in an interesting way from him, but basically it's based on all the facts that went down in the history of the UFO world. How Russia and Germany all worked. We worked together, we worked against each other and all that. But Russia and the United States are fighting with UFOs right now. All right? The orbs and everything's coming in. I saw 2 ships get shot down in Hawaii. People, there's a horrible thing going down. And it has to explode wide open. But the truth behind it, when Truman created MK12, it's going to disappear. I knew one person in MK12 who was killed. They killed his whole family, and then they killed him. On top of that, 16 of my good friends, most of them UFO speakers, and everything else were taken out. And it's sad because my best friend I knew since I was 11 years old, he worked for NASA. And we were going to leave and create a private community because he designs all the special parts for the space probes and everything else because he had this giant machine. He goes, well, we can go to a place and we don't have to leave it because whatever breaks, I'll build it and rebuild it and make it. And we'll have a private community. I brought him to my house to show him UFOs, and he said, well, the government doesn't want him to see or deal with that. He goes, well, let's get together and we'll go into detail and have a pool party. 2 days later, he disappeared. His whole family disappeared. His children disappeared. All right. And that's only one person. But Sean David Morton was arrested with 150 false charges, put in jail. And I'm not going to go into everything they did to him in jail, but they were torturing him because they knew what he did, and they didn't want him to tell any more. His book's still out there, Sands of Time. Read it. It's going to give you the facts that you should know about the UFO world, not Bob Dalton or any of the other people's books and things, because they're all half-assed stories of twisted mind, of unawareness. All right? I'm not going to go into the details how Sean wrote the book, because it's an incredible story as well, and it has to do with the Philadelphia experiment. But are you ready for the truth? Do you believe anything I said? It doesn't matter. I'm putting it out there. Most people don't want it. Most people don't care. But you know, when I did the show with Kerry Cassidy and Sergeant 18, 9 months, we had 75 people in the chat room every time we did a show. The next morning, we would be hit up by 1,200 people every morning. People cared for a period of time. And then guess what? We had a fight over Sean David Martin. And our friendship ended. But people, you know, ego is the worst thing on this planet. And man's ego is worse than women's. That's why you see the title of my book, all right, for women only. And that's why understanding a man's ego, because that's where we're at. It's not going to change. There's no simple way to get out of this. It's not just going to blow over because mankind's ego is getting worse and more people becoming richer. And those people want to make more money. People with money just want to make more money. Musk could spend the money every day, all day long, and never run out of a tenth of his money. But still, he wants to make more money and become the first trillionaire. Look trillionaire up in a dictionary. It's not a real word yet because there's no trillionaire on the planet. So we got a lot coming, people. I don't want to keep it long. I'm sure you're bored and tired and have to deal with if you accepted anything I said or even try to understand any of it. Good for you. My email is hawksblood1@aol.com. How to see God at aol.com. Truth and God only at aol.com. All right. Any one of them. I stay in Hawksblood1 all the time. But any emails I get, I reply to them. Good, bad, or indifferent. Truthfully, I didn't have many trolls. In my whole lifetime, I was doing shows 15 years, and maybe I had 5 trolls in that whole time. All right. So when I was on Carrie Cassidy doing her show, she was having trolls on a show almost every time she did a show. But she accepted and believed many things that weren't true. All right. So people, open your eyes, open your heart, think about life, think about death. Try to understand where you fit into the great picture of birth and death and what it means and what happens after. We all don't become one space ball of knowledge, and you think it would know better if that was even true. It would blow the planet up because we're. So have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Enjoy your life if you can. Do the best you can because it's going to change incredibly in the next 5 years. It's going to be a disaster, and it's not going to be just because of Trump. All right, it's called UN Agenda 30. 2030 will be a new world. It won't be a good world. One world order means one controlling factor, which will not be God. And if you listen to the alien interrogation, which was real, he actually said that too. He said one person's going to destroy the world. And the government was trying to torture him and do everything to him to make him say, who is it? Who is it? Well, we could hope all we want about Trump, but he's egotistical. He's against women. He's a liar. And how many lies he said in the past year? Biden only said 24. Trump said 246, roughly. I mean, the numbers are incredible of what he lied about and says. But he lies about everything, especially not being friends with Epstein. And it was a horrible time because Epstein could expose half of our government, people. And he wasn't committing suicide in jail. He didn't commit suicide in jail. They couldn't let him release that list. And what's Trump say? I'm going to release the list. But his name's on a list. So whatever list he releases will not be real if he releases it. He said a lot of things that he's not going to do anyway. And the first thing he said, well, I can't lower the prices. It's going to be hard. He said, maybe they will. Why'd you say you're going to lower the food prices? That Biden's responsible for it. I can tell you right here in Hawaii, one of the women that owns most of the stores on all the islands. It's the richest person in Hawaii. I go to the store to buy bubble up soda. It's water and flavoring. It's usually $4.50. 3 weeks a month, it's $7.50. Once in a while, every other month, she puts it at $4.50. For a can of soda water. Really? Flavored water. And she does that with all the prices in the one store where I live in Hawaii. And she owns all the stores, and she doesn't do the same thing with each store. Is that Biden's fault? Is that anybody's fault except hers? Rich people will control everything. The people that control the drug department and drug industry control the world, people, whether you want to accept that or not. All right. And what they're going to do is super horrible, especially with people in pain, suffering. Watch what's going down. Right now, most of the medicines are being taken away from people they have two medicines, they're taking one away, period. No matter how much pain they're in. And I just wrote a long letter to them saying, look, have you ever been in pain for a year, extreme pain, and not have anything that can help you get out of it? And then to have a medicine that's helping and then they take it away from you? Think why they would do that. Why they put children in the army, people. There's a reason for everything that happens. When you say, well, it's just a mistake. No, there is a reason. And there's always somebody behind that reason why it's happening. The chemtrails they're spraying over us, there's a reason behind it. Directed energy beams they're using on us, there's a reason behind it. There's a reason behind underground cities. There is a reason for everything. And the government's not stupid. Remember, the government is 25 to 50 years more advanced than whatever they show us. I can tell you the technologies they have. It's incredible. I mean, you want to video film your dream? You want to do incredible things? They have the technology. Are they going to give it to the public? 3D laser pictures on your cell phone? They have cameras that can do it already. I mean, you see it in all the movies and stuff, but it's real. Everything you can see is real at one level already. And whether the government wants to release it or when they release it's another story, people. With that, again, I'm saying goodbye. Please send this link to everybody you know. If they don't listen to it, they don't listen to it. If they do, they might get something out of it. I'm as real as it gets, and I probably know much more than 90%, maybe 95% of the people on this planet. And that's not ego. I went where Tesla was working with DuPont and what happened there, the most number one UFO story on the planet. Because that's when they opened the vortex. That's when they allowed all this stuff to come in. It's a horrible story. Stories aren't good. And if it's a good story, you know it's a fairy tale. All right, people. Tommy Hawksblood saying goodbye. And if I would ever stay with my friend at the time in the UFO world, we would have been on the top of the world right now. But ego stepped in, money came in place, and people take it. All right. Love and light, compassion, truth, whatever you need in your life. Don't stop until you get it.